Welcome back to That Philly Sports Girl. I'm your host, Elise Person, and today, you guessed it, we are going to be talking about all things Philadelphia sports. So let's get right into it, talking about the 76ers as Ben Simmons has managed to stay undefeated against the New York Knicks. On Sunday night, the Sixers defeated the Knicks in overtime 101-100, just by a single-point margin. This is a game where the Sixers did not play their best basketball, and head coach actually gives this win to Danny Green. Coach Rivers said after the game, quote, "Danny saved that game for us. He was the only one, in my opinion, that kept his composure. We made mistakes. The game should have never gone to overtime. Let's just put it that way. Danny was the only one in the huddle saying, 'Guys, we're going to win the game.' He just kept saying it. He went out and did it." End quote. Green actually didn't put his first point on the board until there were 5 minutes and 50 seconds left in the fourth quarter. He then hit a jumper with 19.4 seconds left in regulation play, and then he put up 2 key three-pointers in overtime. Green finished the night with 11 points, 5 steals, 3 rebounds, and 3 blocks. For me, even if Green isn't always putting up crazy numbers, I think he is one of the most important members of the Sixers basketball team this season. He's consistent, and he brings this attitude and mentality that every single championship team needs someone like that on their team. Coach Rivers talked about Green being the only one in the huddle saying that we're going to win the game. And I think that half the battle is believing that you're going to win the game. Once you start to get that doubt that, are we going to win? Are the Knicks really going to come back and beat us? We should beat the Knicks. Are we going to win? That's when you're going to find yourself maybe not being that successful. But having the belief that you are going to be successful no matter what basketball you're putting out, no matter what team you're against, just believing that you're going to win that game is half the battle, as I said. That's what I think separates good teams from great teams. A good team is talented, but a great team is talented, plays together, and knows that they're going to win. That's when I think great things start to happen, when the entire team can buy into the notion that, no, we're good enough that we're going to beat every single team. Realistically, are you going to beat every single team? Probably not. I mean, the Sixers have a great season going on, but they have definitely lost a few games. But just that belief that we're going to win every single game of the season, I think that's a great attitude. And I think that's the attitude that Danny Green actually brings to the Sixers locker room. He's been on the past 2 NBA championship teams, and I don't think that's a coincidence. Because if you have someone like that mentality in the locker room, I think that that's championship caliber leadership. I think that's championship caliber attitude, and I think that's what he brings to the Sixers locker room. But as we said, as exciting it is to see Danny Green and continue to see him leading the Sixers did play not the cleanest, not the prettiest basketball against the Knicks. So looking forward to tonight's game against the Golden State Warriors, the Sixers must look to play better basketball if they plan to finish tonight with a win. A lot needs to be cleaned up, better shot selection, less turnovers, and just better play on both ends of the ball. But I am confident that the Sixers can make the adjustments they need, and I do believe that they can pull out a win against the Warriors tonight at 10 p.m. Now looking over to the Philadelphia Flyers, who are having a struggle-filled March. Last night, the Flyers lost to the Islanders in overtime 2-1. Oscar Lindblom scored the lone goal for the Flyers with just under 8 minutes left to play in the second period. Brian Elliott was actually pretty solid in net, saving 18 out of 20 shots for a 90% save percentage. After last night's loss, the Flyers now move to having an overall record of 15-11-4, and they hang out in 5th place in the East Division. The Flyers have definitely had some rough goes over the past week, beginning with a 9-0 loss to the Rangers on March 17th, and then just 3 days later on March 20th, the Flyers fell to the Islanders 6-1, so at least we improved from that loss to just a 1-point loss last night. Little victories at this point, maybe. Because the month of March has just beat the Flyers down. They cannot get themselves together defensively, offensively, in the net. all over the ice, they are just not executing. In March alone, the Flyers are 4-8 and have given up 53 goals. To put that in perspective for you, in the Flyers' first 18 games, they gave up 52 goals. So in just 12 games in March, the Flyers have exceeded the amount of goals scored on them in the first 18. And while even though Brian Elliott did have a great night in last night's loss, he has been struggling along with Carter Hart. Just the goaltenders they have not been playing their best hockey. They have not been playing their best in general. The Flyers do need some serious help defensively, and I hope they make some positive additions to their defense before the April 12th trade deadline, because right now the Flyers are just on a downward spiral. In my opinion, aside from the obvious cleaning up the offense, cleaning up the defense, getting our goaltenders a little bit better, the biggest thing I think the Flyers need to do is work on using and keeping momentum on their side. Like I said, we have the obvious issues of defense. We got 7 goals scored on us in the second period against the Rangers. There's some serious issues to work out logistically, but I think that the Flyers, on top of that, must work on taking a positive run with the little things that come towards them. From something as big as a goal to a big save to something as minor as a fumbled pass by the opponent, the Flyers must learn to capitalize off these opportunities. Other teams are doing it to us. I just had mentioned the Rangers scored 7 goals in a second period. That's unheard of. But what the Rangers did is they took their momentum and ran with it. They ran off with it and left the Flyers completely in their rearview mirror. But the Flyers can't do that to other teams. So I think that's something that the Flyers need to really make adjustments with, is just their mentality and capitalizing off momentum swings. No matter how big, no matter how small these momentum swings may be, that's something that needs to change. I think that we kind of fall into, for instance, last night we scored 1 goal in the second period with just under 8 minutes left to play. Didn't score another goal. We need to take that goal and ride off of it. We are struggling to do that, and I think that little change could help the Flyers across the board. You know, it's the same thing with the Sixers we were just talking about. If you believe you're going to win, you're going to win. But if you believe you're not going to win, you're probably not going to win. And I'm not saying that the Flyers go into games thinking they're not going to win and they're not going to capitalize off the little things and they're not going to keep the momentum on their side. But I do think that by not capitalizing off small momentum swings or even big momentum swings such as a goal, I think that the Flyers don't necessarily believe that they are going to win every game they go into. I don't know if everyone feels the same way, but I think that the Flyers could have much more success if they take that small belief that they are going to win every game and then that they can take the little momentums and the little victories and run with it. Hopefully the Flyers can bounce back and snap a 2-game losing streak tonight against the New Jersey Devils with game time set to start at 7 p.m. Now moving right along to the Philadelphia Phillies, who are coming off a 4-0 win last night against the Yankees. Didi Gregorius led the Phils offensively with 2 RBIs and 4 at-bats. We are only 9 days away from Phillies opening day. Can you believe that? I cannot believe that. It's coming up so quickly, but there's still a lot of questions surrounding the Phillies opening day. One of them being, will JT Realmuto be healthy for opening day on April 1st against the Atlanta Braves? Realmuto has been out since mid-February with a fractured thumb. The Phillies are easing him back in and want to slow the way he comes in to avoid any further injury by bringing him back too soon, too quick, too many reps at once. He was supposed to be a designated hitter this past Sunday against the Detroit Tigers, but opted out after being very sore from an active day of hitting on Saturday in a simulated game. Manager Joe Girardi said they would like to see Realmuto behind the plate for a few innings in back-to-back games before having him in for all 9 innings. Girardi said, quote, "I'd like to make sure he can catch 7 innings in one game, back-to-back. We'd probably try to do that as well. We'll have to wait and see. You can't go too fast or you could hurt him again. Not necessarily his thumb, but you could hurt something else. We'll have to go day by day with that, but we'd like to catch him in back-to-back days for sure, end quote. So this is something we're definitely going to be keeping an eye on, especially as opening day approaches. I'd love to see him behind home plate, but also, just as Joe Girardi said, you can't rush it. God forbid we rush him back too soon and he gets injured just by overworking. It's not necessarily his thumb that's going to be injured, but just by taking too many reps at once, going from 0 to 100 basically. And we want to avoid that so that we can have him for the long term come the season. So now looking at the Phillies' starting pitching rotation, it looks like it's shaping up to be Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, Zach Eflin, Matt Moore, and Chase Anderson. This rotation will be finalized depending on the health of right-handed pitcher Zach Eflin, who experienced a back flare-up after throwing additional pitches in the bullpen after starting March 13th against the Tigers. You may be asking, why is he getting more pitches in after he already pitched that day? Well, let me clear that up for you. He had a great day on the mound on March 13th against the Tigers, and he was taken out in the 4th inning with no runs scored and only have thrown 39 pitches on the day. So he needed to get his pitch count up for the day. So he took himself to the bullpen and unfortunately injured and tweaked his back. I get a little frustrated with this. I understand him needing to get more reps and get his pitch count up, but he is an injury-prone player. He spent time on the IL in 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. So that's somebody, he's very talented, but that's someone I want to kind of take it easy a little bit. Do what you need to do, but you also need to be making sure you are taking care of your body first and foremost. I mean, when he's healthy, he's a lights-out pitcher. Last season, he struck out 28% of hitters that he's faced, but we need him to stay healthy to positively impact our bullpen. So that's something we're going to also be keeping an eye on, especially as opening day approaches. Who's going to be in our starting pitching rotation? Regardless, it's just exciting to be talking about opening day and be talking about all these logistics. It's really exciting stuff. You know, the Phillies only have 7 spring training games remaining, and the next game is going to be tonight at 6:05 versus the Toronto Blue Jays. So check that out tonight. We're hoping for some good stuff for the last 7 remaining games, and I'm super excited for opening day, April 1st. So finally, moving on to some Eagles football updates. The Eagles have released wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey and defensive tackle Malik Jackson. Both of these players were pretty underwhelming this past season, so it's really no surprise that the Eagles have released these 2 players. But I just want to take a quick moment and thank Alshon Jeffrey. He played a huge role in our Super Bowl victory in 2017. So thank you so much, Alshon Jeffrey. We appreciate everything you did for us while you were wearing the midnight green, and we wish you the best of luck in the future. So now moving on to other Eagles roster moves. The Eagles have signed safety Anthony Harris to a 1-year, $5 million deal. This comes after Jalen Mills signed with the New England Patriots, so we needed to make up for the loss of Mills. I'm actually pretty excited about the signing of Harris. He led the league in interceptions with 6 in 2019, and I think signing him to a 1-year deal is going to be a great addition to the Eagles for right now. I also think a 1-year deal is smart. He is turning 30 in October. So do I think he's going to be a long-term fix for the Eagles secondary? No, but I think taking it 1 year at a time is a great approach, and I think that he is going to do very positive things for our secondary coming into next season. But like I said, do I think he's going to be a long-term fix? No, but I think it's a great addition for right now, and I'm actually very excited about it. So that's going to do it for today. I'm That Philly Sports Girl, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks from now. Thank you so much for tuning in.